Hello and welcome once again to the Dr. Zeero Xiron Free Magic Secrets Show, where we investigate all forms of magic. We talk about all kinds of things. We make all kinds of cool music here and post it. Wrote a book called Apex Unhinged. If you just Google it, you'll find it. You should check it out before it vanishes. And today I thought that I would talk a little bit about community and what that means. And it's kind of a topic where you want to pay lip service to it. You do want it to exist, but you're still stuck in a corner because even when you do build community on a society-wide level and you get past a lot of things, we can all coexist. You know, when you're a minority, such as someone who is essentially a witch or someone who practices this sort of stuff, you know, a lot of people out there, they don't have a frame of reference for any of the things you're talking. They don't know what a magician is. You're going to go over their head. They don't know what an alchemist is. They don't know what this or that means. But they kind of know what a witch is, and they're not down. They aren't down because you have to understand, like the vast majority of people out there, they think the devil's real. They actually think there's a fucking Satan. They think that there's like demons and dark creatures existing on an invisible plane out to corrupt them and destroy their lives and turn them here and there and take them to a lake of fire and all this shit. And all that's really real. And you represent that to them. So that even if we get to the point where we have like a perfect society where everybody's cooperating, we're still going to be the minority that is cast out. We're still going to be the snake cast out. You understand? Now, luckily, if you're listening to this and live in America, you know, we're supposed to have freedom of religion. We do currently. But when people take power who want one way, one voice, one vision, and they start prosecuting their enemies and minorities and getting rid of people. So we got to talk about just a little bit of stuff. So community, all right. Getting back to the basic premise. Here's where we want to go as a society. Like, keep this all in mind. Now, where I came from, where I grew up, okay, you know, I'm getting up there in the days, you know, but where I grew up was somewhere in the Midwest. It was very behind. Oh, damn! Just watched a car accident. Wasn't expecting that. But I'm going to keep talking. Ooh, is he just going to drive away? Is he just going to run away? I saw nothing. I saw nothing. Nope, people are calling. Damn. Okay, so we're back after being rudely interrupted, and if anybody's wondering what happened, someone took a picture of the dude's license plate. Somebody had just like backed into a car and smashed up the front and then drove off. And it happened really fast. So, anyway, talking about community, it's like this. The place that I came from was like a million years behind where I'm at now. I currently live in this major metropolitan liberal West Coast city, right? I'll put that like that. So obviously it's going to be, more to the futurist way of thinking, and the difference between these two places, like where I grew up, for instance, even though schools weren't segregated or workplaces or churches or whatever else, it was still this consistent thing where there was a sense of segregation, as in, people would work together or go to school together or whatever, but then they go back homes and then they go to their quote unquote own communities. And the way that people were thinking back there, it was always like, Okay, so the Jewish people are off in a corner doing Jewish things with other Jewish people. You know, the black folks are in another corner doing things with other black folks. You know, the gay people are in their corner doing gay things with other gay people. The trans people are in their own corner, whatever have you. And the difference between there and where I'm at now is that, you know, we're all standing, the way that we're conceiving it is like we're standing in the same room and we're trying to cooperate here. And the general thing here, like this city, it's popular to want to cooperate. It's popular to want to be a community. It's very popular to want to get beyond the old problems and this old segregated way of thinking. And I do agree with this, and it's obviously the smart way to go, because as a society, we want to be democratic and inclusive, right? But talking about what I was earlier, no matter what I say, think, or do, I'm always going to be a villain in the eyes of others. And I never pretended to be anything other than a supervillain. I mean, Doc Zeero is a supervillain. We talk about this on this show plenty. You know, that means a lot of things. So, you know, ultimately, I'm an outcast. I know that. I'm going to be the outcast. And it's not like I'm trying to put a wedge in community from a society-wide standpoint. So the way I want people to think about it is like, you know, you don't want to live in a situation where one group is in control, they live in the house, in the room, and everybody else is kicked outside. Okay, then there's the way of thinking we're all in the same room no matter what. But it's more like this. We all exist in the same house. Unfortunately, we're all going to be in different rooms altogether. But let me tell you, I don't feel like I have any place in that house. And, you know, you got to talk about spiritual philosophy, religious worldview, religious this or that. And time out. So it's basically like this. As you know, most of the major religions, or, you know, the ones that are predominant, don't have a very popular view towards witchcraft or people who think like we do. If you read the text of their religions, it says to kill us. But, of course, you know, these old world manuscripts, you know, they didn't really have in mind witchcraft in the year 2025. They weren't thinking like, here's the version of a witch that we have in mind for 1950 onward with Gerald Gardner or whatever, you know, the drift of the post hippie world, post 60s, post new age, post this and that. That's not what they're thinking. They think sorcerers in league with the devil. And the thing is, they think that the devil's real, like I said. So it's like you're never going to convince them that there aren't demonic entities operating on some invisible plane trying to like control the world and all this shit. So you're kind of stranded. That's why I'm trying to say is that like forming community is very, very important, and especially forming solidarity and community among circles of people who practice magic. The problem is that once you step up and you start utilizing magic, obviously we are all like locked in a poker game with each other. We're all playing chess with each other no matter what. Once you step up and you take those reins, you know, and it all works differently on all kinds of different levels. But the truth is, like, we represent a next step. People will say, oh, that's crazy talk or whatever. And I don't want to come off sounding like Magneto with the Brotherhood of Mutants, you know, because I am a supervillain and all, but I am not necessarily that. But we become a next step. Simply because we are attempting to harness our own energies, our own psychologies, all the subtle nature. And this sets us apart. And the thing is, there's all kinds of strains of magic at war with one another. I don't think that we can truly extinguish the war. Because here's the thing. Like, I'm free to criticize whoever I want. I'm free to disagree with whoever I want. But the people I'm disagreeing with are the people who are they've gone mad with magic. Now, first, I think they're full of shit and they don't really have the power but they like to pretend. They like to pretend that they throw out death curses and hexes and curses. They're doing all this shit. And, I'm like a witch who doesn't do like spells. I do. My ritualistic this or that is a whole different playing field. My whole approach, I lay these intense psychological traps that people fall into. I create rabbit holes to my world, to the Zeero universe. And people fall into the rabbit holes. And once you fall into the rabbit hole, you're like the fool on the tarot card who walks over the cliff. And when you walk over the cliff, you fall into the pack of Zeero tarot cards in a weird upside-down, topsy-turvy tarot world. So that's the beauty of the Dr. Zeero program. Both as a show and as literally a program in real life. So that's kind of what I wanted to say is that unfortunately, magic philosophy does lead to war, and there's a serious problem of communication. But our whole competitive streak is like it's over the heads of the general person. That got silenced. But our whole competitive streak is over the heads of the most average person. They're not gripping what we're doing or what we're up to. So that's kind of what I'm throwing out today is like there's a need for community and that we should always be like aiming towards that goal. But the reality is like even if you form the perfect community, you're still the snake kicked out of their Garden of Eden. Because you represent that snake anyway. I mean, that's the glory of witchcraft. Get away from their ideas. Turn to pure nature. Because remember, like, no matter any spin you put on it, witchcraft is ultimately a nature religion. It's about the trees in front of you. It's about the physical universe. It's about you in harmony and in gnosis with the physical universe. Right? And there's all kinds of ways to philosophically hone your mind to that and have symbiosis with that. But that's the bottom line. Props are props. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to mix all this together, pause it, and come back. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what I wanted to say. So hold on. So to cap it all off, the way that I wanted to I guess phrase this is the unfortunate reality where from a society standpoint, we all want to, like I said, live in the same house, even if we're living in different rooms. We're not all outside living in different houses, all segregated, right? We're all in the same house. And when we have to cooperate, we can all go to the dining room and sit down at the dining room table and hash things out. And we can cooperate and build community and such things. But the thing that holds society together is, the people who, when you practice magic and make it your thing, it overtakes your life and you become segregated mentally from the rest of humanity because they don't understand these principles and you're immediately elevated. And that sounds extremely arrogant and egotistical, but it's true because, it has to do with your abilities of perception, your abilities to control the outside world or, move in its streams and how to figure things out and cause and effect. It makes you smarter. It makes you more in tune, And, when you start thinking this way, you become separated. And then there's people like on our wavelength and who are not. And I used to, when I was younger, I would obviously, I'm one of the guys that I was always at metal concerts and punk rock concerts and industrial shows and, rave parties and stuff like that. Like I read a lot of the late 1960s, like counterculture hippie literature before, Uncle Charlie showed up and fucking ruined everything. But, all the different tribes connected as one big whole. Those who want to break away from the old stagnant square world and start something new. I still believe in all that. Now, unfortunately, Uncle Charlie ruined all that shit, but I came at the modern world with this enthusiastic approach where everybody was interconnected because we were. But unfortunately, it was a society and at times where people were more and more boxed in. They're like, oh, I'm a raver, so I can only go to rave parties. I'm play metal, so I'm just going to go to metal shows all the time. I guess, there's all this shit. So my whole point, but it's like I wasn't ever alone. People like all kinds of stuff. But cooperation on that standpoint. But even so, most of those people and all those things, they don't know fucking shit about magic. I mean, goth industrial side, you're going to find way more people who are knowledgeable. But the deeper and deeper you get into magic, the more and more you separate from the common man, and the more alien you are to them. And these people, they can't read your mind. They don't know what you're really thinking. You walk by people all day. You have no idea what their worldview is. But most people aren't even thinking even remotely in these magical concepts, so there's no way that they can grip your point of view. So this is what I'm saying, like the vast mass of humanity, we want to get everybody living in the same house, cooperating together at the dinner table every night. But us weirdo, witchy, outsider magic people, we're either going to be on the roof or kicked out of that goddamn house. I mean, you can pretend it isn't so. But you might find that eventually, if enough time passes and people actually understand what's going on, but I don't think they will. I mean, a lot of the most powerful magic is often ancient. And if it's been around since ancient Greece and ancient Egypt and all these things, and they still haven't caught on yet, there's a lot of leeway time in there to catch up. But again, we're not taught anything remotely magic related in our schools or colleges. I mean, you can take specialized college courses, yeah, but I pity the fool. I pity the fool who doesn't look to learn. But yeah, I mean, that's the truth, is that we're always going to be on the outs, and unfortunately, it's even harder once you get to that point to actually form a quote unquote magic community, because we're all going to be eventually at each other's throats over some catch-22, even if it's not like a full glaring philosophical thing. But I mean, like, say for instance, like the hardcore black magic demonic conjuring left-hand path guys obsessed with the infernal divine are never going to gel with what people see as the white magic crowd or these things. For Doc, I just see everything as much more vague. It's really tough, because the thing is, all magic is natural. If it exists and happens in the scheme of the universe, then it is natural. There's nothing supernatural about it at all. It's all coming from creation. And if it exists, it exists. You know what I mean? We may not be able to conjure it in normal ways, but there's no quote unquote supernatural powers. It's all natural. Okay. And the scale of like this very simplistic way of saying white magic, black magic, gray magic in between, it's like, it's so much more blended and hard to pinpoint. But there are things that are classically quote unquote black magic, and things that are classically quote unquote white magic, or meant to be. And people, if you're hooked to either side, you're never going to get along. That's always going to be war. That's the nature of conflict. So this has a larger connotation of what's the ultimate war? Well, it's a fight between metaphysical evil and metaphysical goodness. I don't know. There's a better word. I mean, metaphysical evil is like it's different. It's not cool heavy metal Satan wearing a leather jacket, throwing the fucking devil horns and playing a fucking heavy metal Jackson guitar with C tuning and distortion, being like, yeah, I'm Satan, woo, and everybody's partying, and it's like a sketch on Saturday Night Live or something. I mean, that we're talking about like true metaphysical evil, true evil, the sort of true evil that the Cliffoth represents, truly, because that shit's about metaphysical evil. It's not about here's my cool glamorized Hollywood heavy metal version of these concepts. It's a lot darker. No matter how like appealing it is to you from like the standpoint of liking dark and spooky and scary stuff, or however you kind of sugarcoat or downplay it, like it's hardcore, dude. It's hardcore. Cliffoth is all about madness and murder and inhumanity and all kinds of awful stuff. That's because it's like the bad trip of the universe. You know, it's insanity. It's meant to be insane. It's meant to be insane. It's meant to be dark. Because for something to be holy, something has to be unholy. So I guess this is getting to the point, like, even though we build a magic community, there's still an ultimate fight between, I don't know, metaphysical decency? What is the better metaphysical evolution towards I'm not going to say pure light, because the darkness and light, they're all one and the same, because it's all one big thing. So this is the way you're thinking. Like, you know, I just see it as one blended thing. So this puts me more on the out. So I don't know. I'm just bantering on, and I think I fucking said everything that I meant to say. But I hope you catch my drift. And, you know, I don't want to sound dystopian. I don't want to be a bummer. This or that, and don't think I'm trying to like ruin anything and pit anybody against each other, but it's like they have to look inside themselves to realize if they're pitted against other people or what the deal is. Like, you know, that's why, you know, I have my show. Like, feel free. My criticizing is, you know, kind of counter protesting ideas out there in a discreet manner. But as with everything, you know, keeping in this mind frame, this time we're in, just remember that, you know, freedom of speech is important, but when someone starts talking ugly, it's your obligation to counter protest, and defeat such hate-filled, bigoted views. You know, counter-protesting is very important, but freedom of speech is as well. I don't want to get too deep on that subject. It's a pretty hot button, but it all adds together. So in the end, you know, the magic community, it's like we got to be a united community because we're going to be persecuted no matter what. But at the same time, we can't help but have beef with each other. So it's like the right to exist. But the second you start persecuting other people or really harming them and all this stuff, you turn into a piece of shit. And that's the thing, is I watch so many of these black magic guys, and I just want to cap it off with this, okay? So I see all these black magic guys talking about death curses and hexing people with death and this and this and this and this, and they're obsessed with revenge and harming people, and then they cry foul when someone opposes their views or calls it out. Like, you know, a nation of the ass. What's the difference in your mind, Mr. Black Magic Magician guy? What's the difference in your mind between a death curse and what fucking happened last week? What, you don't get this? You don't see it replayed on TikTok over and over and over and over in front of everybody's face? What's the difference? If a death curses work, there are nations of the ass, emanations of the ass, spiritual ones. Yep. So, I'm just going to end it there because this is dragging. So, thanks for stopping by the Dr. Zeero Xiron Free Magic Secrets Show. If you haven't already, click the videos tab and scroll all the way down. Hit the subscribe button. Let people know I exist. Take these videos, share them on Facebook or Facebook groups or Twitter or wherever else. It doesn't matter. Just post them all over the place. And I highly recommend clicking the playlist tab, and you're going to find all my stuff neatly organized and all kinds of in the different ones and yada, 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 yada. So, that much said, here's your hot rockin' outro. Later, kids.
You got far before me, and you know this to be true. Goddesses atrophy, doggy poo-poo on my shoe. You gods are deceased to me, toe tight on the slab. All goddesses deflated, voodoo dolls of which to stab. Yeah, you gods are all dead to me. Your divine all atrophies. Set your boss's toast to me. Broken, rotting, and diseased. Abrahamic foundations awaiting their defeat. Pantheistic daydreams, sleepwalkers on repeat. Atheist conceptions, scientific defeat. Logic, the illogical, render deities obsolete. Nothing is up in the sky except the riddle which created us. No master owns the skies except the nothingness consciousness. Yeah, you gods are dead to me. Yeah, you divine atrophies. Set your boss's roast to me. Shattered, rotten, and diseased. You get from zero, return to zero. The madman's plan, will of the universe. Start as zero, return to zero. Cyclical plan, scheme of the universe. From nothingness we unfurl into an organism which never learns. Macrocosm from beyond. Microcosm, the quest is long. Whatever created us, we have no grip. Whatever fashioned us, all conceptions slip. Whatever enacted us eludes our definition. Whatever birthed us, we're blind to its vision. Yeah, you gods are deceased to me. Yeah, you divine all atrophies. Set your bosses lost to me. Soiled, putrid, and diseased. Beget from zero, return to zero. The madman's plan, will of the universe. Start as zero, return to zero. Cyclical plan, scheme of the universe. Beget from zero, return to zero. The madman's plan, will of the universe. Start as zero, return to zero.